In this video, I'm going to cover some common oven use issues that I have encountered in my 22 years as an appliance educator and provide some tips to help you navigate through the learning curve of getting to know a new oven. Typically, when an oven recipe doesn't turn out as expected, the tendency is to think there's a problem with the oven, when in fact the issue is often user error. Appliance service technicians often recount how they are called out to check an oven for poor performance only to find the oven is perfectly calibrated, so a service call ends up being an educational call. The problem is, if you don't understand the tools you are cooking with, it's much harder to understand which cooking mode to choose or why a particular dish or baked item worked out the way it did. Now, oven user guides are not always easy to read or understand, but it is the best place to start. And the mode-specific educational videos on my channel will act as a useful guide. So first is education, then there is the issue of getting used to cooking in your new oven, especially if you cooked with your old oven for a long time. I've worked with many distraught people who bake perfectly in their old oven and have nothing but disasters in a new oven. It's heartbreaking, but once you understand the cooking modes, the rack positions, the needed temperature adjustments, best types of pans, things will go smoothly. Another issue to consider is oven size. Ovens nowadays are much larger, and in electric ovens, the bottom heating element is concealed beneath a steel plate. Now, if you're used to a gas oven or an oven with an exposed heating element, that can feel quite different at first. Allow an extra few minutes for preheating, especially in the bake mode, and that will do the trick. The next issue to consider is timing. In my experience, smaller ovens tend to cook faster than larger ovens, and electric ovens cook differently to gas ovens. So when you are cooking with a new oven, it's a good idea to set the timer in advance of the recipe time until you understand how your oven cooks. Then there's the issue of accuracy of oven temperature. Many people buy an inexpensive oven thermometer to get an accurate reading for their brand new, usually quite expensive oven. And if that thermometer doesn't read what the user expects, they immediately think there's a problem with the oven. Now, the oven temperature is controlled by a sensor, usually found in the rear part of the oven, and during operation, the heating elements in the oven will cycle to maintain a consistent temperature. An oven thermometer hung in the center of the oven near the door will have a completely different temperature reading. I find a useful test to determine temperature accuracy is to bake a packaged cornbread. Key is following the recipe instructions precisely. To test an oven, I usually bake the cornbread in the bake mode in a metal pan, and I set the timer at least 5 minutes in advance of the recommended time to determine the actual cooking time in the oven. Remember, glass pans cook faster, so if you're baking in a glass pan, you may need to reduce the cooking time a little more. I have cooked in so many different ovens over the years, and I can assure you while they all cook well, they all cook a little differently. Recipes provide wonderful ideas for creating a flavorful dish or baked items, but the key to success is understanding how your oven will cook those foods.